So with the long distance of our relationship, obviously it's hard to wake up in the morning and just be like, hey, and to see the person right in front of you is obviously something you can't do. And there are the bad things about it. But people always tend to look at it, oh, it's a relationship and it's just the bad things. They never think, well, actually, there are some good sides to it. I mean, I'm going to list off the pros and cons because I think people need to kind of understand the pros and cons before they start thinking it's all bad. The cons of a long distance relationship. The cons of long distance relationships. Well, to start off with, the most obvious one would be clearly that you don't see them as much as you would see anybody who lived in the same part of the country as you, or the same part of the world as you. You just can't pick up the phone and say, hey, the whole process, as well as seeing the person after how long you've been apart, is just so much better. All the people, like I said before, who always talk and always say to you, how do you put up with it? How do you, go for the days knowing that you just can't just pick up the phone and meet them in the street, and when you're upset and you just want their hugs and that. It's terrible. Take it from me, it's horrible, because you sit there and you think what you'd do if they were here right now, and how you could just, I'm going to be very romantic now, but you could just hug up from all that and stuff, and you just don't get that when they're not here. You miss them a hell of a lot, especially when it's the first thing you think of when you get up in the morning and the last thing you think of before you go to bed. To go along with the distance, I would say that you just can't get the hugs and the closeness in physicalness. It's also hard in a long-distance relationship when people, people who are like, hey, let's go out on dates and stuff, double dates, and they invite all their lovers and their boyfriend and girlfriends, and they go out and they do stuff. You just can't be a part of that because, again, your person is way too far away. The pros to a distance relationship. There is good things to having a distance relationship. One of the main things that I notice about a good thing of being in a distance relationship is just the communication is amazing. You can honestly have a decent conversation with them, and because you talk, all the time, and you don't have to, you don't have that chance of having that physical touch or being with them side by side. You have the kind of the intellectual sort of side of it, and you have the emotional side of it kind of intertwined with the communication, and so you kind of learn to have the relationship based on just talking until you see them. But the talking is just so good because you can have a serious conversation about it, and the person knows so much about you because that's the thing you do the most. And when you get into arguments and things like that, it's so easy just to get out of them, so easy to talk about it and just to get to the point. Also the greatest thing about being in a relationship is distance, to do with the communication is listening. The thing you need to do is listen, and that's something that in this relationship that I have, I've noticed that I have so much of, because you spend your time talking to them all the time, and it's just amazing that you can listen to someone and they listen to you, and you just understand each other so well. The many cool things, like the fact, like I said before, about the communication, that's a massive thing that you don't normally get. Another thing is that when you do eventually, after months and months of waiting, you do eventually see them, it's just amazing because you just feel so good that you built up the time to see them, and eventually actually managing to put your arms around them. Yes, the softening needs to come out, but still, when you eventually get to put your arms around them and just be in their presence, it's just such an amazing feeling. It's not obviously it is when you see them every time if you live in the same part of the country, but to be apart that long and then to finally see each other, it's just so much worth, it's so worth the wait. I kind of just wanted to throw this out here. It's not really a pro or con, it's kind of more based on the person and what they believe, but I like to think that trust is a massive thing in a distant relationship, because you're not always by that person's side, you're not being majorly protective over them because you can't see them on a regular basis. But I know that in our relationship, both of us have massive amounts of trust for the other. Within a reasonable amount of space in between. What was that one a bit? I don't understand. I'm too gay. That's my excuse. Yeah. So my kind of main point about this video was that don't always think that long distance relationships are going to end and that they're not going to work. And I'm looking also not just from my point of view, from my personal experience, but the whole distance relationship thing though, in a nutshell, it's not all bad. You know, I know that this whole video wasn't very clear at all, but it is amazing.